You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, everybody, welcome back to an episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. This is your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
You sound fantastic.
It's good to hear. I was nervous for a second.
Just so you know.
Second shot at this. I don't know what it's going to look like on YouTube on the multiple streams, but it is what it is. If it's just an audio week, it's just an audio week. It's a bye week. This computer setup does weird things literally every single day. Anyways, we're back. We're working. It's bye week. Getting healthy, getting right. Michael, you were talking about having some sniffles, some allergies. I've been having some abdominal pressure. There it is. Pressure in the abdomen, like right under my diaphragm.
Yeah, I've just, like I was saying earlier. Sorry if some of y'all heard this before, but like Spencer said, we're on take 2, and I am built just like these D1 athletes, and I need a week to kind of get back to game shape. Much like having a bum ankle like these guys, I've got the sniffles, man, and
yeah,
it's real, it's there, but I'm treating it. I'm working on it. Got the Flonase going before we started recording, so hopefully I won't sneeze too much. But yeah, it's the week to get healthy, and it's a pretty well timed week for our little 5-1 football team. 5-1,
3-0 Big 12 play, only 3-0 team in the conference. You know what that means, Michael?
What's that mean?
It means we're number 1 in the standings.
It's kind of historic. When was the last time? I mean, I think once
17, 12. Whenever Cliff went 7-0.
Yeah, that was the last time we had to start this promising. Was Kingsbury's first season. That was the 2013 season. Even Leach's last season, which of course ended with 9 wins, started out 2-2, so had a heck of a run after that, but didn't start out this hot right out of the gate, and that's something we've kind of pointed out in McGuire's tenure. It's great that these last 2 years, small sample size, but these last 2 years, this team has picked up speed as the season has gone along, whereas most of the seasons, the teams we've followed have kind of started out strong. If there's any hope, they've started out strong and then kind of fallen off towards the end. So this year, as opposed to starting out kind of hiccuping as much as the last couple of years, firing it right out of the gate, 5-1, 1 game away from bowl eligibility before Halloween, possibly, and maybe they can keep that trend of finishing strong with it. And that would be something.
You're going to need it with the schedule.
Yes.
It gets harder.
You'll get to later. I saw what you've got set up for that.
Yeah, so I just, out of curiosity, I went back and looked at the 2009 schedule. You played Texas in Austin game 3. You lost that one because Sergio Kendall obliterated Taylor Potts' helmet, his head, concussed him. Most likely would have been ejected from the game in today's rules. No flag there. Wasn't quite the same. Next week was on the road in Houston, lost that one by a point. And then you went on a run. Finished that season 8-4 with a bowl win in San Antonio versus Michigan State. Lots of entertaining Real Men Aren't Afraid of the Dark shirts worn in that game. I enjoyed those, let's be honest.
Took me a second. It's been a few years. I had to put my mind back into 2009.
So yeah, well, I have a question about your regimen on your treatment plan as we get into the fall allergy season, which we'll get to at the what do we learn, or even the questions part. I don't know. We'll see what we get to, but
okay.
We are heading into peak allergy season for Spencer, and I don't know when it ends because then it like rolls into spring allergies, especially if like a mild winter. Just have ragweed all freaking winter. Anyways, we'll get there. 5-1, 3-0 in Big 12 play, technically you're receiving votes in the AP poll. You would be 34th if they extended the numbers out that far. They don't.
Hang the banner.
But receiving 7 votes.
Does that work you up at all? I've seen some folks begrudging, not happy, disgruntled about the lack of being ranked in the AP poll. I've seen a lot of retweets of college football playoff discussion, and boy, can I tell you!
Oh my goodness!
I don't want anything
Way
to do
too early
with
for that.
Yes, I don't want anything to do with that. I'm sticking with what I said in August when I tune in to Florida State and Georgia Tech, and there's all these segments about, well, who's going to make the playoff? Like, my brother, it is August something. Let's not talk about the playoff right now. But
yeah,
I kind of feel the same way about the AP poll. I don't want to talk on both sides of my mouth and think, wow, Kansas preseason ranked Kansas 1-5. Boy, they got that wrong. And then also be mad online that Texas Tech is not ranked at 5-1. I don't care. Just
looking
win,
at
baby.
At the records of the teams that are ranked, like it's not like they're like a bunch of 4-2 and 3-2 teams or something. They're 4-0, 4-1, 5-0, 5-1. Like, it's so early in the season. It's whatever.
Yeah.
You haven't looked exceptional in your stretch here. You've won games, which will be great. Because that will matter if you get to the end and you're 10-1. You're like, well, why aren't we ranked? Because they're not going to be that many 10-1 teams.
Yeah, you get back to me in November. I might be a little miffed if we're a 1-win team and not crack the top 25 yet.
Roy says, I want to stay unranked, but why in the world is Arizona receiving more votes than us this week? I would say they're getting a lot of credit still for beating a top 10 Arizona or Utah team on the road.
I would agree with that too, but not to get too far ahead. I think the Vegas money has lost complete confidence in Arizona because have you checked out the line this week of their game? They are going
who they're playing. So no.
They're going to BYU. Number 14 is BYU. Number 14. Anyway. They're heading up to undefeated, correct? BYU.
BYU's 14th.
The line opened at Arizona -2.5. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but as of this morning, it has moved 7 points towards BYU -5.5.
Good gravy.
Yeah. Complete and total confidence lost on Arizona. I think maybe they opened thinking what I've seen some Arizona fans say these last few days is that Texas Tech is really not good at all and Arizona just had a bad game. Maybe that's what the Vegas folks were thinking, and then everyone else was thinking, no, I don't think that's the case.
Yeah. To your point, Arizona opened up 2.5 point favorites. BYU is now 5.5 point favorites. Over under has dropped about a touchdown. Yeah, that's a healthy swing.
Yes, it's one of the biggest that I don't really pay attention that much, so grain of salt.
Like 3 or 4 points feels like a lot.
Yeah. 7? That's huge.
It's 8.
And hey, I'm the guy who picked Tech to lose last week. I thought Arizona would play better than they did. I didn't. Everybody can go back and listen to my instant reaction on my thoughts about how the defense surprised me completely and totally in a good way, in the best way. But I'm still just after that game, I would not have immediately turned around and thought, oh well, Arizona is obviously going to be favored on the road against another top 15 opponent.
So hey, do you want to wrap up the Arizona game, or do you want to talk about soccer and then come back to Arizona?
Oh, okay. Let's do soccer really quickly because You've already mentioned that the Texas Tech Red Raiders on the gridiron, undefeated in Big 12 play. Guess who else is undefeated in Big 12 play? We have.
This feels like a technicality. Like, I don't like
true.
when you have a. No, I know, because technically a defeat is a loss and a tie is not a loss. But it feels weird to call a team undefeated when they have a tie. But to your point, yes, Texas Tech soccer Red Raider soccer team, 5-0-1
Yes. And so
in Big 12 play.
soccer team is between Texas Tech soccer and football, undefeated so far, 8 total wins. I did get to go to the game on Friday. I wish they would play more on Friday. I understand why they don't. I think they have another game coming up this Friday or this month on a Friday that we'll try to go to. But my daughter and I went, had a great time. It was a really tough match against Baylor. Ashley Williams scored with, it was about 61 minutes into the game. So it took a while. Baylor was playing a lot more aggressive the second half. They didn't really have many shots on goal the first, but they did the second. And then the whole momentum kind of shifted once Williams got that goal in. It seemed like Tech just put all of their players on Baylor's side of the field, and we're just trying to play defense the rest of the time, and it worked really well. So fun game to go to, perfect night for it. And then upcoming this week, very big game on Thursday, 7 p.m. Colorado's coming to town. Colorado is currently 4th in the Big 12, but they were tied for first up until this weekend. They lost a big one at home to then third place TCU. No, TCU's third now with a 4-0-2 record. And TCU is Texas Tech's lone draw. But Colorado lost 6-1, I think at home, to TCU. And that knocked Colorado out of the 3-way first place tie. So they're still 4-1-1 in the Big 12. They're a very solid team. So Thursday's going to be a big game because Texas Tech is, of course, sitting in first place, but they're not there alone. They are there with West Virginia, who are both 5-0-1. And then Sunday, also in Lubbock, 1 p.m., Iowa State's coming to town. Not as tough of an opponent on paper, at least. 1-2-2 in Big 12 play, and that is good for 13th in the conference. So it's going to be really tough to get that win on Thursday, but it's possible that we're looking at another undefeated week for the Red Raiders on the pitch. They are, like Texas Tech football in the AP poll, they are receiving votes. They have 9 votes, effectively number 27 right now in the country, and are looking pretty darn good. So we'll keep an eye on them for sure. And that is the end of my quick soccer update. Please follow and listen to Seeing Scarlet. Find them on Twitter. Find them on Spotify. Find them wherever you get podcasts. And listen to them.
If you're a fan of the streams, you could catch Texas Tech Stake in the Plains Content Network streams almost every day of the week. The Gauchos go Sunday night. I saw Seeing Scarlet was on last night.
Sometimes they're on Tuesday nights too. I think sometimes they finish right before we get going.
We are.
I think the
streaming
Gauchos
Tuesday.
They have their Patreon feed or their Twitch feed on Wednesday?
They have their Patreon on Wednesday nights. That's 4 days in a row.
And then we go live after.
We go Saturday.
Shortly after the game.
5 days. We go Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then you get games on Thursday and Friday. So, I don't know what's happening with Riverside with the computer. The YouTube stream is now off. So,
oh no,
it just shut down. So, speaking of streams, ours is gone. Thanks for hanging out with us on the stream, everybody. Obviously, if you're hearing this, you're listening to the recording. Those numbers help us out too. Yeah. So football wise, bye week, we talked about getting healthy. I didn't notice it. I noticed that Devin Cromwell played in the defensive backfield on Saturday, Michael. I thought he was in that rotation with corners. And then I realized it was Mo Horn and Braylon Lux basically all night. So Cromwell was moved over from corner to safety to cover up that gaping hole that was been left with Chapman Lewis, Jordan Sanford, then Joseph Plunk. Like they went through 3 different guys in that Cincinnati game. Both of the 2 and 3 left the game at one point and had to come back through injury. they put Cromwell out there and did well, for learning a new position or for playing a new position. So you would absolutely love to have Lewis back. I mean, not to knock Cromwell, but you would love to see your defensive secondary back at full strength. There was no injury report update for this week. There wasn't even like a Monday press conference, so there's nothing to update you on. But yeah, with that, I think we should just chop up the Arizona game one final time, and then move on. As we're looking back, quick update: Baylor game, our next game, Texas Tech's next game, is on week 8. So it's not this weekend. Obviously, it's the 19th. Home game versus Baylor will be homecoming, 3 p.m. kickoff. I was a little surprised at that, Mike. I was kind of expecting like 11 a.m. kick because of, Baylor being so bad. But you get 3 p.m. That's honestly one of my favorite time slots to play. 9 p.m. or later is the worst. Morning, I think, is like in the normal 3 slot window, like my least preferred. And I kind of bounce back and forth between do I want afternoon or evening the games. In the fall, man, I love this 3 p.m. kick where like you get the changing light during the game. I don't know. That does it for me. Anyways, you get Baylor next week, and we'll do a full preview of that, obviously, as we normally do. I did take a look. I peeked at the FPI metrics from today, October 8th, looking ahead. Next weekend versus Baylor, almost a 68% chance in favor of your Red Raiders. I don't remember how that lines up with a point favorite, like touchdown-ish. CFB graphs, because both teams they're off this weekend. Baylor and Texas Tech are both off. I went ahead and grabbed the CFB graphs projection matchup, whatever. It has Texas Tech as like a 12-point favorite. As much as I threw it out the window last week because it showed Texas Tech as a slight 2-point favorite on the road against Arizona, I was like, there's no way that's going to happen. Maybe it's onto something. And now that we're halfway through the season, I went ahead and just looked at the rest of the schedule. Following Baylor, you're on the road at TCU. That's basically a toss-up according to FPI, 50.2% in favor of the Horned Frogs. Following that, again on the road at Iowa State, heavy favorite towards Iowa State, 76%. This is obviously just after game 6 for you. The 9th, you're back home versus Colorado. And I would assume because it's Sanders and Hunter you're having to deal with, but they are a slight favorite here in Lubbock, 52.4%. They're doing better than I would have expected. So you get that little 4-game window, and then your second bye on the 16th of November. You're off that weekend. And then coming back from that, you've got 2 games on the road at Oklahoma State. A narrow favorite for the Cowboys, at least now, 54.6%. And then back home versus West Virginia to finish it out, 53.6% in favor of your Red Raiders.
That's a lot of close calls there, man.
Yeah, outside of...
This does not make me feel good.
I mean, Baylor and Iowa State, 2 of your last 6 games are greater than 54.6% in either direction. Everything else, so TCU's 50.2, Colorado's 52.4, Oklahoma State 54.6, West Virginia 53.6. So 4 of these last 6 within 10 percentage points on FPI. So it's narrow, man.
Yeah, I agree. And coming into the season, I felt maybe unjustifiably confident about Texas Tech taking care of Colorado coming to town. That one worries me a lot more. I felt super confident about Tech taking care of Baylor, and I was not confident about Tech going to TCU, but I'm more confident about that now than I was before.
Mm-hmm.
And never looking forward to a trip to Ames or Stillwater, but I did have Tech winning versus West Virginia. So it's, you're looking at what you have now. I wonder what the FPI was for TCU this weekend versus Houston. I bet they were heavy favorites, but that just shows you anything can happen in this conference. TCU can lose to a team who had yet to score a point in 8 quarters of football. And I don't even know when Houston first scored, so it may have been more than 8.
I think it was early in that game.
It could be that type of day. Tech may come out flat against Baylor, and Baylor could have a defensive performance of a lifetime to keep Aranda from being fired, and some sort of revenge game thing against McGuire, which I don't think they really have that. They don't have any juice against McGuire. McGuire's
If
staff
anything,
might.
it's the other way. Yeah, it'd
Yeah,
be McGuire
if
against
anything,
Baylor.
it's the other way. Yeah.
So I was going back and looking at our preseason predictions for the Texas Tech schedule. I didn't realize. I guess I forgot it that we picked all 12 games the same.
We did. I think we had some different ones, and I believe
I probably
we
talked myself out of it. Yeah,
we talked each other in or out of it because of what the other one said, and then we agree.
So we had projected 5 total losses. We are ahead of that. We had Texas Tech going into this bye at 4-2, so we're ahead there. We had on this next 4 game, we had Texas Tech going 2-2 with wins, basically at home. Your 2 home games, Baylor and Colorado. I think you probably still could go 2-2.
Sure.
I would love 3-1 and pick up that road win against TCU, and then obviously winning at home versus Colorado would be pretty big. On the road to Iowa State's going to be a big test. At Oklahoma State, following that second bye, I mean, who knows? Oklahoma State could have things figured out by then. That's typically how it goes. Like,
Yes,
I talked about like wanting to play them early in the season before. We've done that and it's not gone well. We played them late in the season. It's not gone well. It's just, they've just had our number, or they figured out right before, or they're just good that year. It's just, we never catch them.
yeah,
really.
it's a combination of any of 10 things.
Yeah, but it's always negative for Texas Tech.
Typically,
That game against West Virginia at the very end could be really spicy if
I
Texas
just
Tech can.
I just bought tickets for that.
There you go.
I'm calling my shot. I was talking to my wife about it the other night, and Baylor tickets were kind of starting to sell out, and Colorado tickets are already sold out. And I thought this West Virginia game might be pretty darn big. And it's the
Yeah.
Saturday after Thanksgiving. Let's do it. So we've got tickets. We're gonna go to that game, and I hope it is big. I hope they're both 3-loss teams or 2-loss teams or something clashing together at the end of the season, and some possible Big 12 title implications, all that kind of good fun stuff. That would just be fantastic. But
Yeah.
you never know. Either way, I think it'll be a really good game between these two teams.
Yeah. Let's do a Tahj time tracker update. This past game against Arizona carried the ball 21 times for 128 yards and 3 touchdowns. So of the last 2 weeks, Michael, he's put up 5 of his 7 touchdowns on the ground. 124 total carries for 679 yards halfway through this season, 5.5 yards per carry. So he needs 4 in his next 6 to take over the all-time leading rusher. 6 games to go. It means he needs to average 68 yards per game, and will need 74 carries to do it if he maintains a 5.5 yard per carry average. Sorry. Byron Hanspart, obviously there at first. James Gray, he's got 335 to catch Gray. Brooks this weekend after his performance in Tucson moved up into 3rd place, past Ricky Williams, who had 36.56. Tahj Brooks now has 37.31. So he took over by 80 yards over 4th place Ricky Williams. So yeah, Tahj Brooks, number 3 all-time leading rusher for Texas Tech. 6 games to go, needs 400 yards.
Seems very doable at this point, doesn't it?
It does. I didn't feel that way after week 2, especially when he didn't play.
Yeah. You felt like you were behind the 8 ball already, and it was just barely September.
But these 2 weeks, again, combined for 300 yards, 310 yards, whatever, kind of propelled him up a little bit.
Maybe he'll get it at home against Colorado in a big game.
Maybe he'll get it at home versus Baylor in a big game.
Man.
That's like Samaje Perine type performance. That Oklahoma, it was Oklahoma versus Kansas. I remember that game. I watched him do it, like 350 freaking rushing yards. I'm gonna look it up real quick just to double check. That was ridiculous.
Wasn't it him? Man, I swear there was one. There was one of those years where Tech played OU, and I think each running back had almost 200 yards. They had 2 really good backs, and they just both ran all over us. But not one of them had 404, which, hey, that would be a big record. It'd be kind of a big deal.
I was wrong, Michael.
You're
the
never
record
wrong.
for him, 427 yards.
Ooh.
He did that on 34 carries, 5 touchdowns in the game.
12.5 yards per carry.
I mean, Kansas is down, but they're not that bad anymore. And my goodness, Oklahoma ran for 510 on the day. Keith Ford, Daniel Brooks, Cody Thomas, and Alex Ross all collected carries themselves. They had 55 total rushing attempts that day. P. Ryan got 34. 427, 12.6 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. Also caught the ball once. They had 3 completions that game. Oklahoma did. They went 3 for 13.
Well, at least they tried to be civil. It seems like
They won not by,
I mean, 37 times
for setting a single game rushing record of 427 yards. Like, yes, they blew out Kansas, but like, it could have been worse. It was 44-7.
That's really not that bad considering all those numbers you just said. You're right. That could have been worse. That read like a 70-3 kind of score. I wish I could go find that OU game where Tech just got hammered. Actually, I don't want to relive it. I think they had two guys with 200, just about. So yeah, it's possible. I do think Baylor's rushing defense is slightly better than whatever Kansas was dealing with that day.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm replying in the Discord. Somebody's asking, it's like, y'all having technical difficulties? Like, yeah, kind of are.
Yeah. Appreciate y'all reaching out to our.
Yeah, it's Maddie.
Thanks, Maddie.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for trying to listen live. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Net success rate for this week. You finally got a positive outcome. You were positive. You're there, almost middle of the chart there. So good to see that. Instead of winning but having a negative success rate, you were positive there. So there's that. Explosive plays, Michael, both offensively and defensively. Let's talk about that real quick. For Texas Tech offense, through the air, you had 4 plays of 15 or more yards. They were 19, 32, 38, and 57. So when you hit an explosive play, like you punched them in the mouth. Rushes, you only had 5. This is not really Tahj Brooks' style. They counted explosive plays of rushes of 10 yards or more, and you had 2 10-yard carries, 1 11-yard carry, 1 13-yard carry, and then 1 32-yard carry.
Was that his last touchdown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the ground explosive, those 2 things wouldn't go together. But I mean, that's not his style. That's not what we ask for him. I don't want to pile on or just steal the bit from the Gauchos, but like no killer instinct. That's still a problem. You really could have put this game away early in the third quarter. You could have put away going at a half, really, if you scored a touchdown there instead of the field goal to go up 22-3. But you go up 18-3. And then you had that stretch in the third quarter where it's like your offense was just non-existent.
Oh man, imagine if that offense scored 10 points in the third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, it would have been 28-3,
possibly, yeah,
if not more, 28-6.
Well, depending on when if Arizona scored their 13 still, then it would kind of offset a little bit. But gosh, just anything in that third quarter would have helped put the foot on the gas a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you continue to pad your stats, your record there in 1-score games. But the third game in a row where you needed heroics on the last drive to win this game, to steal it. Going back to Arizona State, Cincinnati, Arizona all had shots to either take the lead or win. So there's that. You've got a great opportunity to figure out how to be stone cold killer next weekend against Baylor. You may be pretty juiced up. Your coaching staff may be juiced up. We talked about this a second ago, but McGuire versus Baylor may have some juice there. Trying to get back after what happened last time Baylor played in Lubbock. So there's that. I wanted to look at the road home splits for Morton. Granted, so you played 6 games and your 2 road games, small sample size, and they went very different. But his career road passing percentage, completion percentage, is not even outside of like what he's done so far in 2 games is what he's done historically on the road. So far this year, 26 of 44 for 58.6% completion percentage, 269 yards per game. This is on the road. Half a touchdown to 1 interception. And those are numbers for this year. So he's 2-to-1 interception to touchdown through 2 games. Whereas at home, he's throwing for just about 66% completion for 276 yards. So not as explosive through the air, but much better completion percentage. More than 3 touchdowns to 0 interceptions per game. In terms of per game on the road, obviously you were down. You put the ball in the air quite a bit because you were down and because you were without Tahj Brooks. But Washington State 34-58, 58.6%, 323 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And this past weekend he was 17 of 29. Again, weird how this worked out. Besides, it was exactly half the number of attempts. But 17-29 against Arizona for 58.6%, 214 yards, no touchdowns, but also no interceptions. So he's done really well possessing the ball. For whatever reason, like you're a little bit more explosive on the road through the air than you are at home, but you are not scoring as often, again, through 2 games. So that's something to kind of look out for. Because you've got 3 more road games.
Yes,
I'm not sure those numbers will carry you to victory.
And 2 of those, as we've already mentioned, I'm not as concerned about Fort Worth. I don't want to pretend like anyone can't lose on any given Saturday in this Big 12. But Ames and Stillwater, of course, are a worry. I did also want to point out that that's something I would like to see Morton improve upon is his accuracy. As good as he is, I saw that he was added to the Johnny Unitas watch list this week.
The Golden Arm,
yeah. I mean, he's rightfully so getting some notoriety. They're seeing what he's able to do. He's done a good job of protecting the football, limiting his turnovers. But the accuracy, for as good as he's been, he's the top 10 in a lot of things. I think he's the 67th most accurate passer in FBS right now. I think he's right at 62.5% or something. Really would love to see that come up some more. I know it's not all him. So if it hits your hands, I'm not going to say names, but if it hits your hands, you should catch the ball. So I know
exactly
who
you're talking about.
I know that's not Morton's problem there, but it's probably him half, if not more often, when the ball just sails out of bounds or drops on the ground 10 yards behind somebody, especially if that receiver's open. Just would like to see the accuracy go up.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's obviously done enough to win these games for Tech, and a lot of that has to do with how well the running games perform too. So it's, as is with everything, there are many factors involved, and it's easy for some guy in his spare bedroom to say, hey, sure would like to see a little bit more accuracy from that Baron Morton. But that's what I'm doing. And that is what I would still like to see. Yeah.
Some random dude who didn't play college football is on a podcast in his basement, essentially.
I don't even play it on Xbox, man.
Neither one of us have basements. And anyways, I just thought that I was interesting to point out.
Yeah, it was.
I was harsh on Kitley. I would obviously, I will always find negative. Like, you're not going to call a perfect game. You're not going to have a perfectly executed game. What I found looking back at the box score, when you ran the ball on first down, Michael, you picked up almost 8 yards per carry. That's pretty dang good. On a down where Texas Tech, I guess, it has gotten the reputation for being a little bit more aggressive with Joey McGuire. That's probably trending the other way. We've seen McGuire kind of, one, not have to go as much, but two, not calling as much at times when historically. He's leaned on analytics and said, we're going to go for it here. So like you take that and the tendency, like we can throw on any down, or you don't have to pick up, 5 yards on first down. But picking up almost 8 yards on first down carries really makes everything else click. Having said that, you were 2 of 11 on third down this week, Michael.
Yeah.
You only had 5 yards to go on average, but you only gained 3. So there's that. Defensively, you gave up 22 points. Huge improvement from last week, even to this week. You gave up 41 to Cincinnati, 22 to Arizona on 5 of 6 field goals. You made them kick 6 field goals. Between the 20s, your defense is just kind of there. It's fine. Like total yards is a garbage stat to track and rate your defense on. Points per drive, all that kind of stuff. Much better. Getting teams to settle for field goals more than touchdowns is what matters. I mean, obviously, had Arizona gone 5 for 6 on scoring drives with 5 touchdowns instead of 5 field goals, I mean, that's 20 more points in their favor. That would have been closer to the outcome I would have expected, a 42-28 game.
Well, and wasn't one of those drives stopped on a 4th and 1 attempt?
Yeah, and I think it was Tech Hoops guy on the Sunday podcast for the Gaucho saying their defense with like a 2nd and short, 3rd and short, 4th and short held them on all of those and kept them from converting.
Well, and that was something I wanted to mention too that we did not mention during the instant reaction, or if we did, I don't remember. Texas Tech was not good. Just third downs in general. Texas Tech was really not good offensively on third downs. You already mentioned that, 2 of 11. But how about defensively? Arizona was 3 of 14. Just an unreal stat to shut them down that often.
You had held them on early downs. They had to go 7.1 yards average on third down. And just like their defense, your defense held them to 2.8 yards per third down attempt. Texas Tech offense picked up 2.8. Your defense held Arizona to 2. Sorry. Texas Tech offense went 2.9 yards per third down. Arizona offense went 2.8.
Yeah.
Pass rush was finally a thing, and it was a beautiful sight to behold. You sacked Fafita on the opening drive. Like, you couldn't have set the tone in a more impactful way. Like, I guess you could have taken the ball away or used a pass rush, quarterback hurry to force a turnover, but you hit Fafita all night long. You were only credited with 3 hurries and 2 sacks, but it felt like every time he moved his feet, you were hitting him. And that you weren't like bumping him. Like, there were several good hits that were clean, obviously, but your presence was felt in his face. When you have a 5'11 quarterback, actually keeping him in the pocket was probably what you wanted to do. So the way that you brought pressure from the outside to try to keep him from bouncing out was just beautiful. You limited the big play, mostly. They had 8 passing plays of 15 or more yards. Your offense, when did I say it? You only had 4 passing plays of 15 or more yards, but their passing plays of 15 or more yards went like this. They had 2 of those 8 were longer than 20 yards. So 6 of them were between 15 and 20 yards. Big pickup, sure. Backbreaking, no. Those 2 longer than 15 were both to McMillan, 35 and 40 yards. And one of those ended up being a fumble. So it's like,
oh, really? I didn't know that would. Okay, I didn't realize that was going to count as one of those. Gotcha.
Yeah, because
yeah, it would. I mean, it was a catch. That's
catch
how it was
and
a
run.
fumble.
Like, yeah,
yes.
he was moving. And I think they get credit for it all up until loss of possession.
Mm-hmm.
They had 7 rushing plays of 10 or more yards. None of those rushing plays were longer than 20 yards. Again, like they had two big plays to McMillan. One of those ended up in a turnover. So you did a good job of keeping everything in front of you and not letting them break free. Special teams, 2 of 2 on field goals. You didn't switch kickers. I don't know if that means you're moving forward with this. I don't know if Burkhart was available or what. Just want to point that out. And the punt return duty shifted off of Josh Kelly this past week. I don't remember who was catching the kicks. Was it Aiken?
Is Aiken this week? Yes.
Okay, about the only time he really touched the ball. I mean, he caught some passes this weekend, but he was very much held in check.
He touched the ball a few times, just didn't catch it.
Yeah. Big plays. Obviously, we can't get off without mentioning Jacob Rodriguez. Game of his life, man. He had that tipped pass that ended up in that Quincy Ledet interception. The forced fumble on T-Mac to get you the possession back there at the end to one, stop their momentum, and then put you in a scoring position. 13 tackles, and then that sack. He started the game off with that sack. I mean, my goodness. Jacob Rodriguez, player of the game. I think he was even acknowledged as Big 12 co-defensive player of the week this week.
Yeah, and he got a national acknowledgement too, I believe, from
the Bender.
For linebacker play overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The three of us that made predictions on the recording both had Arizona scoring 42 points. I had Texas Tech scoring the fewest at 24. Then Brett from the Arizona Wildcats podcast had Texas Tech losing 42-34. And then Michael had the closest game, 42-38. We were all wrong. So.
Oh, big fat wrongs.
Did you want to check in on our opponents? Especially Washington State.
Yeah, let me do this. Okay, so Washington State, they had a bye week, so they're still 4-1. But they did lose their first game of the season right before that bye week to a pretty salty Boise State team, which I believe is undefeated so far, or they're close to it. But they lost pretty handily on the road on the blue field, 45-24. And they will be playing Fresno State this Saturday. So that loss up in Pullman is still kind of looming. Probably still overall we'll wish that things had gone differently up there. But if there's any solace, as James Bond would say, if there's a quantum of solace, they actually never said that in the movie, I don't think. ACU has leapt. I think they were number 20 last year in the FCS rankings. FCS ACU is now number 10 after taking down number 5 Central Arkansas 41-34 at home. They are 4-2 on the season. Their 2 losses, of course, are to your Texas Tech Red Raiders and to then number 4 Idaho, I think. So they lost to a really good FCS team at home by, I think, a field goal or something like that. So ACU might be good. That is the opponent check-in.
Tangentially, you mentioned Boise State. Can we talk about their running back, Ashton Genty, for a second?
Sure, you'll have to clue me in. I have not been up on my Bronco football this year.
Starting running back for the Broncos, Michael, through whatever their schedule is. I don't know how many games they played so far.
Tell you in a second.
5 games? Yes. Through 5 games, Michael. 95 carries. 1,031 rushing yards at 11 yards per carry, 16 touchdowns, 77 is his long. And he's caught 6 passes for 19 yards, but 1,000 carries through 5 games.
Mercy.
At 11 yards a carry.
Yeah, so Boise State currently 4-1 in the country. They are the number 7 team in the nation. They have 1,000-yard running back 5 games into the season.
Their only loss is a 3-point loss on the road to Oregon. They lost 37-34. In that game, Genty had 25 carries for 192 yards. His lowest per rush average on the season at 7.7. The next week they followed up and played Portland State. He rushed 11 times for 127 yards. So it's low on total yards, but 11.5 yards per carry.
That sounds like one of those games they just kind of, all right, let's pull the starters at some point.
They won 56-14. Opening week they played Georgia Southern. They won 56-45. He put up 267 yards on the ground, 20 carries, 6 touchdowns. Like, this dude's a cheat code.
This is offensive.
In terms of potential running backs to win the Heisman, you may be looking at the one for a while. Those numbers are ridiculous. Cross your fingers, knock on wood, do everything to keep that man healthy because, my goodness, is he fun to watch. And I can say that because we don't have to play them. Probably ever.
Yeah, I'm always kind of rooting for Boise State.
I have since they took down Oklahoma.
Spencer, unless they make the playoff, man, because so I've got a scenario where if Boise State makes the playoff and Texas Tech makes, there might, and we could, everybody want to hear us talk about that? Okay.
We've already touched on the CFB graphs. Michael, we are 5-1 in our picks this season, where Texas Tech is 5-1. We both were right on the Washington State prediction, both wrong on the Arizona prediction. And that's where we are at. Let's do our week 7 whip around the Big 12. Friday night action. So once you get off of all of our podcasts and streams, getting all the content, Friday night games, Utah, about a touchdown favorite on the road in Tempe at Arizona State, 9:30 kickoff. So you can still get your Friday Night Lights fix in. See your alma mater take down. Let's see who would Merkel play on a Friday night. Tahj. Does Tahj have a?
Tahj's actually part of Merkel Independent School District. Tahj has
hold on.
An elementary school.
Merkel High football schedule.
They could play Jim Ned. They could play Clyde.
They are not doing so hot.
Probably
they just
not.
played Trinity Christian.
Really?
From the old LBK. They were playing Wall this week.
Well, that makes sense because they just had homecoming. So that's probably why they booked Trinity Christian. They might have won that one. No.
Merkel is 0-6.
Trinity Christian has had a football team for what, 4 years now?
Yeah, I don't know.
Merkel's only had one for 70 or 80. Something like that.
They have a very small district schedule. They play Wall, Stanton, Grape Creek, and Coahoma.
That is small.
They only have 4 games. So far, they've played Ballinger, Bangs, Hawley, Albany, Cisco, Trinity Christian.
0-6 on those.
Yeah. Sorry to bring that up. So you can get that fixed in. Then you go home and watch Utah, Arizona State. Stay up till 1 o'clock watching Big 12 football. Saturday, no morning kickoffs. Again, you get your 3 windows, but you get them starting at 2:30, 7, and then late. First up, Cincinnati at UCF. UCF is a field goal favorite, 2:30 on ESPN2. Could be impacted by the storm. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw that the AD for UCF, which is of course in Orlando, so they're inland, but Milton is heading directly for them and keeps, yesterday it was a Cat 4, it had downgraded to a Cat 4, and now it's back to 5. So it could be a 4 when it makes landfall near Tampa Wednesday night. But the athletic director said, hey, all systems go. We think it's going to be a beautiful day on Saturday. But
assuming everything's still standing.
Yeah, they said Thursday we'll assess and, reassess and make sure everything's okay.
And then you got to get Cincinnati travel in there too. Like they got to have a window to get in.
That's why I think, can you imagine trying to get into Orlando after all that?
Palm trees and
just
prawns everywhere.
Well, just the traffic itself. I mean, I'm sure they'll be flying, but the equipment won't be, and the band won't be, and
speaking
all that kind of stuff.
The equipment traveling. Did you see that graphic about the Miami equipment truck driving to Cal this week?
No.
It said they left on like Sunday, and it took them all week to get there.
No, but the one that I was most intrigued with was a few weeks ago when Washington went to Rutgers. So that's Seattle to Puxat. What is it?
Piscataway.
Piscataway.
Is that New Jersey?
I think I was about to name
Puxatawny.
I was about to name the Gopher.
Yeah, it is New Jersey. Piscataway. Let's see. To Seattle.
It was 2,800 miles, I think.
2851. Look at that. Yeah. Look at that memory, Michael. But let's see.
42 hours of driving.
Miami, Florida to where is Cal? Berkeley?
Berkeley.
It is 3,037
Ooh.
miles.
Ooh.
44 hours. Like that's a full-time job a week.
Yeah, because I'm sure they have limits.
Just like every truck.
Yes, you can't just we'll do a couple 16-hour legs. No, legally you cannot do that. So, yeah, you got to leave on Sunday.
Like that may even took like a 6th day. Like you made it like if they're capped at 8 hours. I don't know their regulations. If they're capped at 8 hours, I mean that's 5.5 days of driving.
And you just hope to the good Lord you didn't forget something.
No going back.
It's like, oh crap!
An hour in, you're like this. We're already past the point of no return. We're not making it back.
I forgot the turnover chain. We got to go back.
We have to borrow it from some high school out there.
I'm in truth or consequences. We got to turn around.
Pick it up on the way, man. We're stealing it from New Mexico State. All right. Arizona at BYU. We've already touched on this one. BYU healthy 5.5 point favorites, 3 p.m. on Big Fox. So they have the, I believe it's the Big Noon kickoff broadcast, but not the Big Noon game.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They're there, but they're not. It's not the Big Nooner.
Yeah. Iowa State, a field goal favorite on the road in Morgantown. Again, that one could be soggy.
That just looks like a
slugfest.
Yeah, that looks great. That looks like some great football. I'm going to try to watch that.
Does West Virginia have a natural field or is it turf?
Oh, man, I should know that, but I don't.
Milan Puskar Stadium. Surface is... That's got to be turf. Why are you not telling me what the surface is? It's not really worth it. I was going to say, if it's natural grass, it's going to be it's going to be in bad shape. They're going to tear it up. But new turf design, that was 2016. What? Just tell me if it's grass or turf. Field Turf Revolution 2.5.
There we go.
Yeah, it was installed after 2016.
And that was our going yard segment this week.
There you go. Lastly, Kansas State, 4.5 point favorites in Boulder at Colorado, 9:15 ESPN. I don't know how I feel about this one, Michael. I thought Kansas State was going to be better. They've looked not as good as I would have thought. Colorado's better. But, I mean, this is like two diametrically opposed offensive mindsets here.
Well, and what's the... Let me see. I want to see what the over-under is on this thing.
Yeah, everybody... Why are you looking it up? Everybody else is on a bye. Baylor, Houston, Kansas, Oklahoma State, TCU, and Texas Tech are all off this weekend.
See, I'm seeing 56.5. I mean, I'd be tempted to take the over on that, right?
That's 28 points each.
Yeah.
No? I'd take the under.
You would take the under? I think I would take the over on that. Because Kansas State can score against a not good defense.
I don't know if they can, Michael.
We've seen them do it
this year.
That same quarterback.
Well,
ran for 14 touchdowns. Caught an interception. Returned a punt. Played tuba. He did everything. Kicked field goals.
Hold on now. Hold on. Why is there just load the page? Thank you. They're 4-1. Okay, here we go. They put up 41 points against UT Martin, 34 against Tulane, 31 against Arizona, 9 versus BYU, 42 versus Oklahoma State. Okay. Yes, they can put up 28 points.
Yeah, I think they could do it.
All right. Let's okay, while we're looking at the rest of the Big 12, Michael, you pulled this up. Let's look around our preseason predictions, see how they're faring, how we're faring in our picks. Preseason, Utah over under total wins 9.5. You and I both picked the under. They are 4-1. Who knows if Rising's going to play? Technically, they can still reach, well, they'd have to go 5-2 to finish the season. We hated their schedule because it was so soft. What do they have remaining, Michael? They've got Arizona State, TCU, Houston, BYU, Colorado, Iowa State. So they're losing BYU, they're losing Iowa State. There's their two. If they hold serve against everybody else, on the road against Arizona State, home versus TCU, on the road at Houston, that doesn't matter. On the road at Colorado, that one could be dicey. That could be their third loss.
Correct. And they could, they could lose more than that. And we'd hit the under. But yeah, the best record to still hit the under would have to be 5-2.
Kansas State 9.5. We both took them at the over. I'm not loving this pick. They are 4-1, so they can obviously still do it. I should have had everybody's schedule still pulled up.
Well, I can do that. So they still have
Colorado, West Virginia, Kansas, Houston, Arizona State, Cincinnati,
and Iowa State.
It only pulled up 6 games, but you're right. I still like the over for them. I don't love them as a team. I think they can still reach it.
Yeah, I think they've got some good, there's Kansas in there, there's Houston in there, but then the rest of them are kind of toss-ups, truly.
Yeah. Oklahoma State 7.5. We both took the over. Wow, are we in danger here? They are 3-3 through 6 games. They've got to go 5-1 over their last 6 to hit the over. I don't think they make it.
No, and I am not rooting for them to do so.
I would love for them to implode. Love to see it.
Please.
Kansas 8.5. I took the over. That's out the window. I've already lost that one. Michael's got the under. Or 1-5.
Won.
Yeah, that's already cashed. That's already done. Arizona 8.5. We both took the under. They're at 3-2. Yeah, we'll see how that works out.
Anything can happen there. Yeah.
Iowa State 7.5. I took the over. Michael took the under. Michael, they're going to have to completely fall apart for you to hit this one. They're at 5-0. They're at 5-0.
Yeah.
West Virginia 6.5. We both took the over. They're at 3-2, but I think they've got the shot to do it. I think they're better than I expected. Thoughts? Or just want to stop me if you have something? We'll just keep rolling through it real quick.
No, yeah, you're good. Keep rolling. I do like West Virginia. They're just a salty team, and they surprise everybody at least a couple times a year, and they surprised the whole country last year.
Yeah. Is Neil Brown still fighting for his job? Was that enough? We'll see.
It never will be.
UCF 7.5. I took the over. You took the under. They're at 3-2. Not as they're a little shaky. Those 2 losses have not been great. I thought they would have done better against Florida this weekend. Did not do well. Pink Raiders here. Texas Tech 7.5. We both took the under. They are 5-1. To hit the under, they'd go 2-4 the rest of the way out. Still technically possible. You'd still make a bowl. You'd still have some positives in this season. I think at this point to only go 7-5 would be a disappointment.
Yes.
8-4, I think would feel one because you're overachieving what you thought preseason was. 8-4 would feel pretty good. Even that you're finishing out 3-3. Granted, the back half of your season is a little bit stronger than the front half, and you have just your tougher games. Then you've got the road games, obviously. TCU 7.5. We both took the under. 3-2. 3-3. But for them to finish out 4-2, they would still hit the under there. So we're in play there. I don't think they're going to do super hot the back half of the season. It looks like things are starting to get a little wobbly and about to come off.
Yeah, they just had their most winnable game and lost it. And then now they're going to Utah. They host Texas Tech, of course. Then they go to Baylor.
Yeah, they're going to win that.
Then they host Oklahoma State, host Arizona, and then go to Cincinnati. So they have some chances there. But
everything after, after Baylor's like, they're going to lose that one. They're going to lose that one. They're going to, oh man, sorry. They could lose all those games.
It's
Colorado 5.5. We both took the under. They are currently 4-1. They'd have to go 1-6 for us to hit this under. I don't feel good about this one. So
no, we were big doubters, possibly haters of the Buffaloes.
Yeah. Baylor 5.5. I took the under, Michael. You took the over. They are at 2-4.
A lot could happen.
Depending on how they respond, like if they get punched in the mouth this next game against Texas Tech, they may fold it in. They may fire Aranda mid-season. That may spark something. They may come out of the bye week on fire. Who knows? I don't think it's going to go super well for them.
Well, it could. I mean, they finished the season at Houston and hosting Kansas.
So that's 2.
They host TCU. That could be a toss-up right there. But they do host Oklahoma State and have to go to West Virginia. But yeah, I mean, there could be a 3-3 stretch through there.
They need to win 3. Sorry. They need to win 4 to hit the over.
For you to be right?
for you to be right.
I did the. Oh, I've
You
got the
took
wrong
the over.
column. I did because I love the Bears. Big Baylor Bear fan.
Michael's a Bear. BYU 4.5. We both took the over. Got it right. I didn't think we'd be this right.
No.
I didn't think they'd be this good, but they're already at the over with 5-0. So check marks for both of us there. Cincinnati 5.5. We both took the under. I think they're going to hit the over on this one. Honestly, they're 3-2. They look pretty good.
They did.
Sorsby's good.
Yes, especially for him to shift gears halfway through the game and have to do everything, and just about beat us having to do that.
Houston 4.5. We both took the under. They look much better this weekend against TCU, but coming into this weekend, I felt pretty good about it. They only have to win 3 more games over their last. They have to go 3-3 to hit the over. So
they're on the bye this week, and they do go to Kansas right after. So there's a chance. Who wants
to lose this one less?
Yeah, and like we just mentioned, they will host Baylor towards the end of the season. But yeah, they've got Utah, K-State, Arizona, and BYU in that same range.
Yeah. Arizona State 4.5 was their preseason projection. We both took the under. Only way that's going to hit, Michael, is if they lose out.
Yeah.
They're at 4-1. They have to go 0-7 the rest of the way. I don't think that's happening. I think they're better than I thought they would be. So that's that. Did you see this CFP resume ranks? It is playoff related, but it's not like about the playoff, Michael.
I did not.
I just
pulled it up though.
And X is not loading for me. But basically it's a chart. The closer you are to the origin, 0-0 here, the stronger your resume is and better you've done with your resume. The further out you get from that. Texas Tech is there's like a hypothetical playoff boundary line. Texas Tech is on the wrong side of that, but I don't think people are taking Texas Tech to get into the playoff, so that's not bothering me. But they are doing better than I would have thought. Probably because you're 5-1 and you have a road win now, and you've won these 3 close games. The graphic isn't loading for me, but that's just what I remember. Michael, you have any thoughts looking at that?
Yeah, let me see if I can hang on just a second. Let me copy that and post it into the chat here for you. The chat. Our Google Doc.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, it basically what you just said. It's graphing the raw resume versus the composite team strength rating, I should say. And Texas Tech is looking pretty salty. A very good resume, which I'm assuming the lower number, the better for the resume. Their resume rivals Alabama's, Iowa State's, Oregon's, Penn State's. It's just kind of all in that area.
Washington State, Pitt, SMU.
Yep. Slightly better resumes would be would be Miami and A&M and BYU. And A&M has really played some solid teams this year. That is true. Because didn't they have Notre Dame in the the opener?
Yep. And then your composite team strength, Texas Tech is like 36th.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in there. Teams about there. This is like how well you've done with your schedule, I believe. Again, you're right there with Michigan, Pitt, Washington State, Rutgers, Arkansas, Nebraska. Big Ten Rob would love that. Missouri, South Carolina, Utah, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Maryland, Tulane. Colorado is kind of hidden under there, underneath Illinois. So I would have loved to see this graph last week before the Vanderbilt win, because Vanderbilt's not that far off from you. They're probably getting a lot of love for having just beaten Alabama.
Oh, yeah, they're not. They're, 42-ish?
Yeah.
43 composite team strength rating?
Raw resume has them at 18?
Yeah, I bet that jumped a little bit.
Bet it did. All right. Michael, we got basketball and baseball still to go tonight. Let's keep it moving.
Okay.
I would love to play a little bit of this just for some nostalgia. When Texas Tech was making the tournament.
Just to hear some tennis shoes on some hardwood, man.
A good squeak there.
Yeah.
The only thing I have for basketball, the jerseys were released. We talked about the schedule already. jerseys are released. Players got a sneak peek at them. All reds, all whites, all blacks. Not too different from last year, besides maybe the shorts. There's some stripes on the shorts, and there's stripes around the collar. Can I confess something, Michael?
Please.
I don't love these. I think there's too many stripes. So there
are a lot of stripes.
There are stripes around the collar of the jersey. There are stripes, obviously, on the waistband of the shorts, and then going down the leg of the shorts, and then around the hem of the shorts. There's so many stripes. It's too much.
Did you see the... Oh, man, I don't know if I can pull it up in time. So the Lady Raiders released theirs today.
I have not seen theirs.
And I think it's similar. I think it's very similar. But, when I looked at the men's, I didn't have a clear favorite. Possibly the black uniforms would be my favorite for the men's. But the Lady Raiders, I immediately had a clear favorite, and it may not be fair, but it's because of the kind of the cursive script of Lady Raiders across the chest on the white uniform. Just really sharp look.
For the men's jersey, the black and white jerseys, the lettering is in white. On the black jersey, it's outlined in red. On the red jersey, it's outlined in black. And then for the white jersey, they're black letters outlined in red. But they're all the same block font. Has that kind of mid-2000s feel to it. So
yes.
A throwback, kind of. But you don't get the red. You don't get any script. You don't get any alternate colors that we've seen. I mean, they're fine. I have no issues with them besides the stripes, but I don't love them. I don't hate them.
One thing that's, that there are, gosh, Twitter is just loading completely. It's just garbage right now. So it is a similar look, but instead of stripes around the kind of the collar and the collarbone area for the women's, it's just one color. So like the red jersey has a white stripe kind of around the collar.
Okay.
Yeah, just more of a band instead of two stripes. Also, the stripes down the shorts are just one single stripe on the side. One thing I found interesting about them too, they also have two things. They have the band around the base of the leg of the short, and also the waistband is really thick, and it's also a different color. So the red uniform is accented with white, and the white uniform is accented with red, and then the black uniform is mostly accented with red. But they have it's like a almost boxer trunks. So the waistband is, once it's tucked in, it's kind of part of the uniform too. It stands out. I thought that was kind of interesting. But I don't pay attention to this stuff much, so people may be like, well, yeah, half of the teams in the country do that. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they do.
Well, at our roots, Michael, we are a fashion blog.
Absolutely.
Let's not forget that. Shout out to Seth who's taking the planes. I haven't even looked. Basketball has been so far outside of my mind right now. We are like a month away from first game, Texas Tech. I know we just talked about, November 5th. We're under a month now against Bethune-Cookman. I know the men's team the basketball program had media days recently. I've not given that any attention because I've just been so locked on football. You shared the picture of the women's jersey. Yeah, I mean, it's like, why are they so different from the men's? Like, you would think they'd have a similar look.
Yeah, they're completely different.
So for, like you mentioned, the one color stripe or band around their collar. Texas Tech is one line written across, whereas for the men's it's stacked. It's Texas then Tech. Different font. I don't have a good straight on view of the men's jerseys. The men's shorts. Okay. Yeah. So that like the stripes down the side of the women's jersey is different from the men. Like the men's side is plain. The women have the striping that goes down the side, matches into their shorts. Their black jersey, interesting enough, it says Texas, then the numbers, and then Tech underneath that. The white jersey has the script Lady Raiders, and then the red just says Texas Tech. Like they're all three different, where the men's it's just like different color variations of the same uniform.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's both teams took completely different approaches. It's obvious that the men's were designed with, well, we want a very similar look. We're just changing colors for the most part. But then the women, they're like, we want three different looks, 3 different colors, 3 different looks. Let's do it. Yeah, the white uniforms for the women, just that script Lady Raiders, man, that's tough to beat. And I like the reds too. The reds with all the white accents.
I'd say with all 6 of these, the ladies' whites are probably my favorite.
Yeah, it's a good look.
Yeah. All right, that's basketball. Baseball, Michael. Baseball's a thing that's happening right now. Fall practices, fall scrimmages have happened. There's a roster breakdown from one Jamie Lent. I'm not going to read you the scrimmage breakdowns he did. They're over there on doublet973.com. I want to go through the roster really quickly, just to kind of reset everybody. Again, it's early. Like the fall roster is going to look quite a bit different than the spring roster. But breaking up returners, you've got 7 position players, 10 pitchers, a pretty good core of guys that are returning that I think you can build around. Tracer Lopez, TJ Pompey, Garrett Bame is figuring in to be in the rotation there at third base. Hudson Parker will not pitch this year, will be a position player and primarily catch. Davis Rivers, Dylan Maxey, those are your 3 catchers. Damian Bravo, and then your pitchers in that group are going to be Parker Hutera, Cole Case, Ternan Parrish, Zane Petty, Carson Baugh, Jacob Rogers, Brady Trombello. Love to see him coming back. And then Brendan Lysick. Mac Hewer, and Zach Erdman. Those are all your returning guys. Newcomers. These are guys coming, like, there's going to be transfer portal guys and then junior college guys. I'm going to start with transfer portal. You have a sophomore outfielder from Stetson, Logan Hughes. In his career for Stetson, played in 58 games, hit just under 300. Will probably continue to play in the outfield. Peyton Schultz, senior first baseman from Cal, who played in 51 games, hit 323 with 10 home runs. Will probably be in the rotation at first base with Robin Villanueva from Tennessee. Villanueva is more of your power guy, but could do really good things. Lots of good things. And then you've got pitchers galore. You've got a pitcher coming in from Cal Baptist, Lucas Pirco. It's a sophomore, 15 games, went 5-3 through 72 2/3 innings, 3.38 ERA. Zach Crotchfelt, left-hander junior from Auburn, only pitched in 7 innings, but was number 52 player coming out of high school. So he took a step back in number of appearances last year as a freshman. As a freshman in 23, he had 17 appearances, with only 7 last year. Logan Beavis from South Florida. You actually have 2 pitchers coming in from South Florida. Logan here as a sophomore, 14 appearances with a 1-1 record, 4.94 ERA. And then Jack Siebert, senior right-handed pitcher, 15 appearances from the Bulls, 7-6 with a 5.72 ERA. He was their Saturday starter. 61 strikeouts to 19 walks. You get a Big 12 familiar face in Steven Sepulveda, sophomore right-handed pitcher coming from Baylor. Did pitch against you this past season, but for the Bears went 15 appearances, 1-0, 12.50 ERA through 18 innings. So not great numbers, but against Tech, he went 1 1/3 inning on March 17th. Got the win, 2 hits, 2 runs. Mainly going to be a depth piece for the bullpen, but he's a younger guy. And then you got 3 guys coming in from junior college. Kyler Thompson, junior outfielder from Galveston College. 57 games, had 46 stolen bases last year. Love to see that on-base percentage of 444. So he gets on a ton and then moves a ton. Tyler Boudreaux coming from Midland. It's a right-handed pitcher. And then you've got JT Drake from Pima Community College. Went 5-0 on the season, but had 15 saves. This could be a key bullpen piece for you in 2024. 2.0 ERA through 47 2/3 innings. So pitched a ton in some high spots for Pima Community College. Love to see that step up into the Big 12, but that's a good look at your roster, your initial roster. It's going to continue to churn as you need to cut down a few players to get to your spring limit. But yeah, more in depth, if you want to look at how each scrimmage went and how things were going, you got pretty good production offensively in your scrimmages. Guys like Pompey, Lopez, Bame were all just striking the ball really well. But go check out Jamie Lent's coverage over on doublet97.3.com, because I'm not reading all 4 of those scrimmage recaps for you. Or sorry, I'm not going to read them to you. I read them. You can read them. All right. Now that Michael's back,
I've been here this whole time, man. What are you talking about?
you checked out for baseball. It's fine. That's not your thing. Let's get to what do we learn. And well, I have a question, but I'll put it in what do we learn. Okay, and we'll wrap this thing up.
What do we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I don't know either.
All right. Both of us tried this new fandangled Whataburger bacon glazed jalapeno bacon burger, double burger. I had mine Saturday. You had yours today.
Yes.
Yes? Yeah, today.
Had it for dinner.
Initial impression.
It's up there. It gives me the same comfort as the green chili double, which is pretty high praise when I think about it. But I don't know. I felt like I could have used more. I could have used something else on it. Maybe some grilled onions. Maybe it seems like there's so much on it, but then when you get the burger and you open it, you're like, there's really not that much on here. It's 1,200 calories. It's a lot of meat. I'm not saying it's not like you're going to eat it and go, well, I'm not still hungry.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to still be hungry. You're just going to be like, man, I feel like there could have been, I don't know, throw some onion rings on there. I don't know. Just something else.
So did
but
you
I
get
love the cream cheese?
Did you get the full size?
I did. I felt like
I got the junior.
I should have done the junior, but I thought, well, I'm not going to do fries. I'm going to go whole hog. So I did the full size.
Yeah. So, we were talking about dinner places for Saturday, and so I've talked about this before. Our church has a semi-annual conference. So it happens every 6 months. Traditionally, we will go out with the family. Everybody will just meet at a Rosa's, and we'll just have dinner between one of the sessions, and then everybody will just go back home. And I was like, if we're eating out, like we also kind of tie in like a big cheat day weekend for the conference. Like we just snack and just have all the bad things. Sorry, they're not bad. Nothing is inherently bad, Michael. We're not putting judgment on food. If you were making the healthiest decisions for your heart, for your cholesterol, for your weight, we chose opposite of that, and we do this just once. I'm still paying the price. That's where my stomach issues are coming from. This pressure right here. I had this a year and a half ago. This is actually what started my weight loss journey.
That's right.
I got to figure this out because I can hardly sit. This is just coming back from overdoing this weekend. All right, so Saturday rolls around. I was like, I'm not feeling roses. I was already starting to feel unwell. I was like, you know what does sound good? I'm going to take the opportunity to try this burger. So I went to Whataburger, picked that up on the way to Rosa's. I'm not ashamed to bring in another restaurant's food into Rosa's. Anyways, so I had the junior. Granted, I hadn't thought about it until Rob said it. And of course, like, it makes perfect sense once you put everything together. It's a bacon wrapped jalapeno popper on a burger.
Yes.
Excuse me.
It's like deconstructed.
Yeah.
Jalapeno popper burger.
I love both of those things. I loved this burger.
Yeah, not a complaint.
I may have tricked it up because I took off the regular pickled jalapenos and I put grilled jalapenos on it in a spot, which was way good. It was really good. That might
have taken it over the top for me. Maybe I should have done that or added grilled onions to it.
That's the thing with Whataburger. You can literally change anything, especially when you order on the app.
I'm going straight cold turkey. Give it to me how it's
how it's intended.
I want a tequila. What do you want in your tequila? I don't know. Just bring me the tequila. I don't know which one you have.
Yeah, so I tricked it up. I changed it from the original. I would suggest if you're going back or if anybody's gonna go try it, sub out the jalapenos for grilled jalapenos. You can probably add grilled onions, or if you like raw onions, if you want that crunch and that flavor to it. I don't think you can add an onion ring to it unless you got onion rings on the side and threw one in there for you, on your own.
Right. Well,
also did not get fries. I just went for the burger, and it was pretty good. I think the junior, even though it's like whatever, half the size, it was like 700 calories.
Yeah.
It's dense. It's that
Yes.
cream cheese.
Yes. Well, that's what I was getting to. I think because it looked like it was an option while I was ordering, because I did order this through the app. I wonder if you can, while they have this burger, if you can add that cream cheese to anything. And so that could open up a whole different.
Would you put
door.
it on the green chili burger? No, probably not, right? You probably wouldn't cross those streams.
I think it would be great on a regular Whataburger. So I'm gonna do this live. We'll do it live.
I'm doing it with you on the app.
Try to order a Whataburger right now. And down here on the options, nope.
I don't see it. Mm-mm.
I don't see it either. But they did have the option when you ordered the blazing one, you could take it off. But you could also
do that?
True. But you could, if I want to try my experiment and just add a bunch of stuff to it, I can do that. Because I could have added lettuce and tomato and pickle and
yeah. Because
I don't think you want lettuce necessarily, but I just feel like I could use something. So
it comes with 2 patties, cheddar cheese, a sliced cheddar cheese. It comes with a jalapeno cream cheese, bacon slices, and jalapenos. I subbed off the jalapenos for grilled jalapenos. You could put on tomatoes, pickles, grilled onions, lettuce, diced onions. Then it has the blaze sauce.
Yeah, and that is the only thing you can get the blaze sauce on.
I couldn't tell you what that is. It was.
I tried a little bit. I did that thing where you take the top bun off and put a little sample on the old pinky, and took a sample that way. And it is pretty spicy. It kind of reminds you like some sort of sauce you would get at Taco Bell. Like a, not really creamy, but I guess creamy. One of their sauces that they would put on some random 3-layer burrito or whatever they have, which, hey, y'all have heard me talk about Taco Bell a lot. I'm not saying I wouldn't eat it, but yeah, it's probably something similar that would go on the spicy potato taco. Not a knock, by the way, but it is good. I wish you could probably get that on just a regular burger, but it looks like they're keeping it to the blazing. They're hogging the jalapeno cream cheese and the blaze sauce. But I would probably try it again. I might dabble next time. Do some grilled onions and jalapenos on there. I mean, I really like pickles. I know that's a lot of pickled things on a burger, but I could see putting pickles on it too.
Sure. Yeah, I like it. I liked it. Am I going to go back? Probably not. But it's not a Whataburger. It's not a knock on Whataburger with this menu item. I still wish like some of the other limited time offers things like if you're going to roll out an LTO item, like I think it should be universal across all of the franchises.
Yeah, the regional aspect of it. Yeah,
I still complain that they don't offer the sweet and spicy bacon burger or the A1 thick and hearty everywhere. Like if you're going to offer them, just put them everywhere. Please bring those back.
Yeah, like the Whataburger patty melt. What does it have on it? Oh, it's got the creamy pepper sauce. That is good.
It's pretty good.
That's it.
I think
I've gotten that on the regular Whataburger a handful of times.
Was that Alan that turned us on to putting that on with the green chili? Like
yes,
mixing
I believe
those two.
so.
That was way good. Shout out to Alan.
And
hanging out there in the land of Utah and BYU. All right. I had a question. You said this is allergy season. What's your go-to recipe to kind of medicate up to get yourself through these?
Like, okay, so when I've had a bad day, which typically involves going to the soccer field to watch my kid play soccer, I usually, well, first off, I start every day. I take a Zyrtec every day.
How long have you been doing that?
Probably about 5 or 6 years.
It's probably not even worth it anymore.
I can't. It's placebo at this point.
Like I felt the same way. Like if I stopped working, it's all of a sudden like I'm gonna have the worst day ever.
Yes.
But I stopped taking allergy medicine every day, and I was miserable for a while. I was like, I gotta take something.
Exactly.
So I'm back on like the Claritin most day that I take a Claritin. But like I went through and tried everything. I tried Allegra, Zyrtec, Zysol, Zyzal worked the best. It was also the most expensive.
Yes.
But even like I got over that. I acclimated to that one much quicker than everything else, which was surprising.
Well, that's how I start. And then on a day where I know I'm going to mow or be outside, I do Flonase to start the day. And then I do Flonase either after I come back or before I go to bed. So I will do 2 shots a day, but that's not every day. I usually don't do Flonase every day either. I just do that on once a week. I'll have a 2-shot Flonase day. And then I will have a nightcap on some really bad days. I had to do this. What was that? Sunday night. I could tell stuff. Whatever I had done that day wasn't enough, so I popped a Benadryl before bed.
The Benadryl before bed is killer, man.
And just one, because 2, I don't know. I don't want to cross the streams, so I just do 1. And man, I gotta tell you, brother, I did that, and then sometimes I'll take like when I can tell I have restless legs. It doesn't hit me every night, but like that's going to happen. And so ibuprofen, for whatever reason, helps me a lot with that. And so that night,
you're taking quite the cocktail, man.
No. That was just that night. So that night I took a Benadryl at 8:30, and then I took a couple ibuprofen at 9:30, 9:45. And when I fell asleep, I'm pretty sure I woke up in the exact same position when my alarm went off.
10 hours of just zonked out.
Didn't get up, go to the bathroom, didn't hear anything, didn't hear my cat get up and eat food and jump around on the bed and hear our daughter get up before we did or whatever. I was just out.
So this is a long time ago. I was living in Dallas. It was after my freshman year. Before I went to Germany, and obviously before I came back, I was working at Baylor, the big hospital in downtown Dallas, just outside Dallas, in the OR. And I worked the 6 to 3 shift, or the 6:30 to 3:30 shift. But I was taking like a Benadryl every day before going into work at 6:30. And the way our schedule worked out and the position I was working, like you clocked in and then like you were going for a solid hour and a half, 2 hours every morning. But that lined up really well with the crash from Benadryl. Like I stopped moving, like we would sit down, we get to our lull and like the surgical schedule, like every room is running, but nobody's come out yet. So like there's nothing for us to do yet. Dude, I would crash so hard. And like my boss is the manager of this little section. Like, Spencer, like you got to get up, you got to walk. Like if they see you sleeping in here, man, like you could be done. You got to go. I was like, I can't feel my face. Like it was bad, dude. But one, if we have any pharmacists, I don't know if we're highbrow enough to have any pharmacists listening. One, grade Michael's cocktail there. Like, is that dangerous? Are we able to just mix as we go? Because like I feels like anything over the counter is fairly safe. And what we're talking about is trying to figure out how to stop sneezing and sniffling and talking like this all day because we can't breathe through our nose.
Well, and it's not a daily thing. I want to make that super clear. The only daily thing is Zyrtec, and then I implement the other things as needed.
Yeah, but also like, okay, so rate is he doing it right? Like what else can we consider? Because like allergies, I don't want to go to an allergist and get shots every day or every week or whatever that would be.
No.
That option has been floated. I was like, I don't want to do that. I really don't. Samantha's mom used to do that, and it was a life changer. It's like it was like really good, but then it stopped working for her. She's like, it got expensive.
I've got another thing I do.
Hit me with it.
Humidifier.
Really? For allergies?
Yes, we run a humidifier, especially this time of year, just about every night. Especially when you're running your heater in your house, just because that is a natural
dehumidifier.
Just dries everything out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had an issue. I don't want to get into it on the podcast, but I had an issue with my nasal lining last year. And it was just due to the dryness. I don't know. I never found out a really great answer for it. I went to ear, nose, and throat guy, and he was the one that said that you could use 2 shots of Flonase if you need it, but just don't do it every day. And since then, I've been using a humidifier in my office, and
Wow.
in my office, I have a humidifier running every day. So I think that
So-
does help out quite a bit.
I've only really used a humidifier in the kids' rooms, like when they're having some respiratory issues, like they're coughing at night. Like I'll use it. I don't usually use it unless there's something else. So that's good to think about.
Yeah,
because
that's definitely worth considering.
Haven't gotten to heater season yet, but that's not too far off.
It's just so dry here anyway.
We do get like obviously the nosebleed count within the house goes up over the winter. We are prone to nosebleeds. Me and my oldest particularly. So
Humidifier will absolutely help with that. So that's another top tip. Every now and then, my wife will sometimes take an Advil cold and sinus, just kind of to combat her symptoms. But I usually don't take those unless I actually have a cold or something. I seldom take those for allergies.
Okay.
We got a lot of allergy talk here.
Yeah. Bye week. Like what are you knocking off this weekend, Michael? Now that we have not on a game to worry about, not a post game instant reaction. What you doing this weekend? You going to the corn maze? You doing family photos?
We thought about that. I think what we might try to do, family photos, that would have been a good idea. We're going to try to see Wild Robot. I think that is our big bye week activity. I may or may not be doing some cooking because I have not been able to do that very much. And
On the Blackstone?
I don't have a Blackstone.
Oh, I thought you did.
I've got just got the old Weber charcoal and the Traeger Easy Bake pellet smoker that I'll use stick burners are gonna nail me for, so I'll beat you to it. But yeah, I have neglected my cooking skills quite a bit and need to get back out there. So maybe I'll do some of that this weekend.
Maybe you make your own version of a jalapeno popper bacon burger.
I'll figure out what's missing. The missing link.
Because I made this has been a couple years ago. This is when we were doing the radio show with Rob and the pregame show. I made smoked jalapeno bacon poppers, bacon wrapped jalapeno poppers, and I brought them into the show. Those were. I haven't done those in a few years though.
I am nodding. I'm nodding so much my neck hurts. They were fantastic.
We also tried that barbecue restaurant that had that pop up that was like off of 50th Street that only did poppers.
Yeah, I think it turned into Woody's, right?
Maybe, and now it's something else. It's like a Mexican restaurant. It's just tiny little shack in a parking lot.
Yeah. They started out as just poppers.
They're the ones that turned me on to like mixing barbecue and doing that. I never put brisket or pulled pork, whatever, in the cream cheese. That's obviously an option. I seasoned the bacon with like the barbecue rub and then smoked them and then threw them on the grill to get them crispy. I didn't like doing that. You have to run 2 different devices, and obviously like you only need a few minutes on the grill. But now I'm having this thought. I don't know why it's coming to me now and not then. I have that little propane torch. I probably could have crisped up the bacon with that right on the smoker at the end. So that cuts out having to start a charcoal grill just to crisp up some bacon.
Yeah, with the smoker, you're kind of relying on the bacon more drying out than crisping up necessarily.
Yeah.
But they still, I mean, the texture will get there. It just takes a little bit more time.
Yeah, and your cheese all melts out.
Yeah.
We don't have anything planned this weekend.
Isn't that nice?
Actually, it is and isn't. Like we have a big plan. We have a big week next week. As some may know, the hospital I work for is part of a larger, I would say national, but it's centered in the Pacific Northwest. A larger health system. That CEO, that incoming CEO, the current CEO is retiring end of the year. The current COO is being elevated to CEO. New CEO is going to be in town next week. And he's like, got this big schedule and we're going to be hosting him. I'm going to be with him all day.
You going to Caprock?
No, it's highbrow, man. They're going to like
Orlando's.
So actually, I say that they're staying at Cotton Court.
That's
he's not
a
the
cool
only
place.
He's not the only one coming in town. Like we have a bunch of like some admin people. Anyways, have a busy week next week. Nothing this week. And then that next weekend, Samantha's brother's coming in town. And then we're going to have a huge weekend of stuff with the family. Like it would have been perfect if like all that stuff was this weekend. And we did corn maze and photos. And we're all jamming that in and around the football game next weekend.
Oh man, your mark should have consulted you before this bye week.
I'm sure there's a wedding too that like somebody's going to have. I'm not going to a wedding. Samantha's talking about like she wants to go dancing. I was like, what? I don't even know like when our like the next possibility for us to go to a wedding would be. It was like our oldest nephew is a freshman in college, and if that's it, like man, we're years away. I have no friends around my age that would be single or close to being married.
Well, not similarly, but next weekend, my wife is really interested in going to see the Ataris, and that's who's doing the concert before Baylor.
Flashback, man.
And she just out of nowhere yesterday said, "Oh, I really want to see them. We should go to this. How do we do this?" And I said, "Well, as long as we just physically get to campus, that's it. That's all you got to do." She's like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, there's no ticket. There's no nothing. You just show up.
Just walk in."
She's like, "Okay, we're going." I said, are we go to the game? I don't know. I don't know if we'll see. Can we go to the Fraser and watch the game? I don't know. But I've got to go to this concert. I'm like, okay, that's fine. We got it.
Nice. Yeah.
So I'll at least be on campus for maybe up until kickoff next week.
I'll have to go through some of their songs again. I haven't listened to them in 20 years.
I don't know them at all. The other thing that's interesting is the actor who played Pedro in Napoleon Dynamite will also be making an appearance.
Too.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Michael? Or should we just call it there at 100 minutes of us?
That's good for me.
Well, that'll do it for us on the 23 Personnel Podcast. Getting you set up for the bye week. Texas Tech off this weekend, hosting Baylor for homecoming the 19th. So get your fall to-do lists in order. Michael, we didn't talk about going yard. We're looking at planting a couple trees. We're going to get that figured out. Be a great time to do it this weekend, but we're not going to do it. Anyways, for Michael, I'm Spencer. We'll catch you guys next week, getting you ready for Baylor. We'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.